All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about one of the biggest and honestly most overlooked problems in any large organization. We're going to explore how something as simple as consistent naming can totally transform chaos into clarity.
I mean, does this sound painfully familiar to you? You're looking at this critical system, right? But over in marketing, they call it Project Phoenix. Then you talk to IT, and it's the Customer Engagement Platform. And for the finance team? Oh, it's just a line item called the CRM upgrade. It's a total recipe for disaster, and you know what? It happens everywhere.
So you gotta wonder, where does all this confusion even start? Well, it begins in a place most of us don't even think to look. Just the simple, utter chaos of names.
And the scale of this problem is, well, it's kind of staggering when you think about it. A full half of the confusion in enterprise architecture, it doesn't come from super complex technology or, shifting business goals. Nope. It comes from something way more basic, just calling the same thing by different names.
You know, this really puts things into perspective, doesn't it? We love to chase after the fancy new frameworks, all the sophisticated tools, and these big centralized repositories. But honestly, all of that is secondary. The number one priority, the absolute foundation before you do anything else, it's gotta be naming discipline. Okay, so what's the real cost here? What happens when we get this wrong? Well, when we fail to get the naming right, all that hard work we put in, it risks becoming nothing more than just noise. Just imagine this for a second. You spent weeks, maybe months, creating the perfect architectural diagram. I mean, you've mapped out every single connection, every data flow. It's beautiful. You present it to your key stakeholders, the very people who need to make big decisions based on it. But if they can't even recognize the basic pieces because you're using names they've never ever heard before, then that's exactly what happens. All of your brilliant work, your incredible insights, your careful planning, it all just dissolves into noise. It's meaningless static. It completely loses its power to inform and guide people, all because your audience can't even get past square one.
But hey, here's the good news. The solution is actually surprisingly simple. So let's talk about the incredible impact you can have just by embracing the power of consistency.
So, what really happens when you get naming right? Well, first off, those constant misunderstandings between departments, they just kind of evaporate. Everyone's finally speaking the same language. Second, your architecture becomes readable for everyone, not just for other architects. And maybe most importantly, your models, they transform from these abstract pictures into tools that people actually trust and then use to make real-world decisions.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, right? But where do you actually start? Let's break down the clear, actionable first step. It really all comes down to asking one very simple question.
This is it. This is the one question that can kickstart a revolution in clarity for your entire organization. Before you go out and buy a new tool, before you adopt some new framework, just get your team in a room and ask this. Hey, are we all calling the same thing by the same name? Seriously, the answers might actually surprise you.
Now, trying to answer that question across a whole enterprise? Yeah, that can feel completely impossible. And that's really where a practical tool can come into play. A platform like Vistalin.com, for example, is built specifically to tackle this exact challenge. It helps you find and manage all those similarities, and it gives you the power to actually unify the names across your entire landscape. And that brings us right back to the core question you can take back to your own work. I mean, take a look at your diagrams, your documents, your systems. How much untapped potential, how much hidden value is just sitting there, waiting to be unlocked if you could just achieve true clarity? The answer, I bet, is right there in front of you.